ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Namaskar, my dear friends. I am giving this video about insight and guidance from Hansa Yogananda. Draw on God for the solution of all your problems. Do not allow your courage and quick wit to be paralyzed when overwhelming difficulties suddenly come down on you like an avalanche. Keep awake your intuitive common sense and your faith in God and try to find even the slenderest means of escape, and you will find that means all will come out right in the end. For God has hidden His goodness behind the superficiality of the paradoxes of moral experiences. Do not be afraid of anything, even when tossing on a wave in a storm. You are still on the bosom of the ocean. Always hold on to the consciousness of God's underlying presence. Be of even mind and say, I am fearless. I am made of the substance of God. I am a spark of the fire of Spirit. I am an atom of the cosmic flame. I am a cell of the vast universal body of the Father. I and my Father are one. The only true freedom lies in God, so strive deeply to contact Him in meditation morning and night. Yoga teaches that where God is, there is no fear, no sorrow. The successful yogi can stand unshaken midst the crash of breaking worlds. God is the fountain of health, prosperity, wisdom, and eternal joy. We make our life complete by contact with God. Without Him, life is not complete. Give your attention to the Almighty power that is giving you life and strength and wisdom. Pray that unceasing truth flow into your mind, unceasing strength flow into your body, and unceasing joy flow into your soul. Right behind the darkness of closed eyes are the wondrous forces of the universe and all the great saints and the endlessness of the infinite. Meditate and you will realize the omnipresent absolute truth and seize its mysterious workings in your life and in all the glorious of creation. You are all God's if you only knew it. Behind the wave of your consciousness is the sea of God's presence. You must look within, don't concentrate on the little wave of the body with its weaknesses. Look beneath, close your eyes, and you see the vast omnipresence before you. Everywhere you look, you are in the center of that sphere, and as you lift your consciousness from the body and its experiences, you will find that sphere filled with the great joy and bliss that lights the stars and gives power to the winds and storms. God is the source of all our joys and of all the manifestations in nature. Awaken yourself from the gloom of ignorance. You have closed your eyes in the sleep of delusion. Awake, open your eyes, and you shall behold the glory of God, the vast vista of God's light spreading over all things. I am telling you to be divine realists, and you will find the answer to all questions in God. Those who seek prosperity for themselves alone are in the end bound to become poor or to suffer from mental inharmony. But those who consider the whole world as their home and who really care and work for group or wood prosperity activate astral forces that lead them ultimately to the place where they can find the individual prosperity that is legitimately theirs. This is a sure and secret law. This world will always have turmoil and trouble. What are you worried about? Go where the masters have gone to, the shelter of God, whence they are watching and helping the world. You shall have safely forever, not only for yourself, but for all those loved ones who have been entrusted to your care by our Lord and Father. Make the Lord the shepherd of your soul. Make him your searchlight when you move along a shadowy pathway in life. He is your moon in the night of ignorance. He is your sun during the wakeful hours, and he is your pole star on the dark seas of mortal existence. Seek his guidance. The world will go on like this in its ups and downs. Where shall we look for a sense of direction, not to the prejudices roused within us by our habits and environmental influence of our families, our country, or the world, but to the guiding voice of truth within? Remember, greater than a million reasonings of the mind is to sit and meditate upon God until you feel calmness within. Then say to the Lord, I can't solve any problem alone, even if I thought a zillion different thoughts, but I can solve it by placing it in your hands, asking first for your guidance, and then following through by thinking out the various angles for a possible solution. God does help those who help themselves. When your mind is calm and filled with faith after praying to God in meditation, you are able to see various answers to your problems. And because your mind is calm, you are capable of picking out the best solution. Follow that solution, and you will meet with success. This is applying the science of religion in your daily life. Fear comes from the heart. If ever you feel overcome by dread of some illness or accident, you should inhale and exhale deeply, slowly, and rhythmically several times, relaxing with each exhalation. This helps the circulation to become normal. If your heart is truly quiet, you cannot feel fear at all. Whatever is that you fear, take your mind away from it and leave it to God. Have faith in Him. Much suffering is due simply to worry. Why suffer now when the melody has not yet come? Since most of our ills come through fear, if you give up fear, you will be free at once. The healing will be instant every night before you sleep. Affirm the Heavenly Father is with me. I am protected. Mentally surround yourself with the Spirit and His cosmic energy. Chant Om 3 times or the word God that will shield you. You will feel His wonderful protection. Be fearless. Whenever you feel afraid, put your hand over your heart and next to the skin. Rub from left to right and say, Father, I am free. Tune out this fear from my heart radio. Just as you tune out static on the ordinary radio, so if you continuously rub the heart from left to right and continuously concentrate on the thought that you want to tune out fear from your heart, it will go and the joy of God will be perceived. God has given us one tremendous instrument of protection, more powerful than machine guns, electricity, poison, gas, or any medic. The mind. It is the mind that must be strengthened. An important part of the adventure of life is to get hold of the mind and to keep that controlled mind constantly attuned to the Lord. This is the secret of a happy, successful existence. It comes by exercising mind power and by attuning the mind to God through meditation. The easiest way to overcome disease, disappointments, and disaster is to be in constant attunement with God. True happiness, lasting happiness, lies only in God, having whom no other gains is greater. In Him is the only safety, the only shelter, the only escape from all our fears. You have no other security in the world, no other freedom. The only true freedom lies in God. So strive deeply to contact, contact Him in meditation, morning and night, as well as throughout the day in all work and duties you perform. Yoga teaches that where God is, there is no fear, no sorrow. The successful yogi can stand unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds. He is secure in the realization, Lord, where I am, then there thou must come. Let us pray in our hearts for a league of souls and united world. Though we may seem divided by race, creed, color, class, and political prejudices, still, as children of the one God, we are able to our souls to feel brotherhood and world unity. May we work for the creation of a united world in which every nation will be a useful part, guided by God through man's enlightened conscience. In our hearts, we can all learn to be free from hate and selfishness. Let us pray for harmony among the nations, that they march hand in hand through the gate of fair new civilization. Most of all, I emphasize that you should get busy seeking God through meditation. Just beneath the shadow of this life is His wondrous light. The universe is a vast temple of His presence. When you meditate, you will find doors opening to Him everywhere. When you have communion with Him, not all the ravages of the world can take away that joy and peace. Why so much war and natural disaster? The sudden cataclysms that occur in nature, creating havoc and mass injury, are not acts of God. Such disasters result from the thought and actions of man. Whenever the world's vibratory balance of good and evil is disturbed by an accumulation of harmful vibration, the result of man's wrong thinking and wrongdoing, you will see devastation. Wars are brought about not by fateful divine action but by widespread material selfishness, banished selfishness, individual, industrial, political, national, and you will have no more wars. Modern chaotic conditions all over the world are the result of living by ungodly ideals. Individuals and nations can be protected from utter destruction if they live by heavenly ideals of brotherhood, industrial cooperation, and international exchange of earthly goods and experiences. I believe a time will come when the greater understandings we shall have no boundaries anymore. We shall call the earth our country and we shall, by a process of justice and international assembly, distribute unselfishly the goods of the world according to the needs of the people. But equality cannot be established by force. It must come from the heart. We must start now with ourselves. We should try to be like the divine ones who have come to earth again and again to show us the way by our loving each other and keeping our understanding clear as they taught and exemplified peace and can come. The one thing that we will help to eliminate world suffering more than money, houses, or any other material aid is to meditate and transmit to others the divine consciousness of God that we feel. A thousand dictators could never destroy what I have within. Every day radiate his consciousness to others. Try to understand God's plan for mankind to draw all souls back to himself and work to harmony with his will. God is love. His plan for creation can be rooted only in love. Does not that simply does not that simple thought rather than erudite reasonings offer solace to the human heart? Every saint who has penetrated to the core of reality has testified that a divine universal plan exists and that is beautiful and full of joy. Be fearless and secure through faith in God. God is the only harbor of safety from the storms of the world. Take shelter in Him with all the eagerness of the heart. By His grace, thou shalt obtain the utmost peace and the eternal shelter in Him. I have found the joy of my life, the indescribable blessedness of my existence, the wonderful realization of His everywhereness right within me. I want you all to have that. Yoga teaches that where God is, there is no fear, no sorrow. The successful yogi can stand unshaken midst the crash of breaking worlds. He is secure in the realization, Lord, where I am, there thou must come. Fearlessness means faith in God, faith in His protection, His justice, His wisdom, His misery, His love, His mercy, His love, His omnipresence. Fear rose man of indomitability of his soul, disrupting nature's harmonious workings emanating from the source of divine power. Within fear causes physical, mental, and spiritual disturbances. Instead of indulging in anxiety, he should affirm, I am ever safe in the fortress of thy loving care. Whether you are in the African jungle or at war or wrecked by diseases and poverty, just say to the Lord and believe I am in the armored car of your presence, moving across the battlefield of life. Life, you to affirm and believe, no matter what happens in this truth, Lord, it is you alone who can help me. Draw on God for the solution of all your problems. Do not allow your courage and quick wit to be paralyzed when overwhelming difficulties suddenly come down on you like an avalanche. Keep awake your intuitive common sense of your faith in God and try to find even the slenderest means of escape, and you will find that means all will come out right in the end. For God has hidden His goodness behind the superficiality of the paradoxes of mortal experiences. In times of darkness, hold to the loving guidance of God. Make the Lord the shepherd of your soul. Make Him your searchlight. When you move along a shadowy pathway in life, here is moon. Make the Lord every moment I am thinking only of God. I have given my heart into the shelter of the Lord. I have given my spirit into his charge, my love, my devotion. I lay at his feet of eternity. Trust nothing before God. Trust nothing before God, and then through the inner direction of God, just those who manifest His light. Trust those who manifest His light. That light is my guide. That light is my love. That light is my wisdom. And He tells me how His virtue is within and ever shall win. I used to worry about this war, but I received great comfort when I prayed, Lord, I am not the one to judge. Thou art the judge of mankind and nation. Thou knowest the karma of all, and what will be the decree that is my desire. This thought took away my constant, even for India, for I know God will protect her. We must learn to depend more on the judgment of the Lord, and that is only known only after each act in the world drama is over. During the war, his judgment may not be understood, but in time we shall see his hand was in this conflict. The immediate outcome and what will come to pass thereafter will be according to his judgment, according to the karma that each nation and each individual within that nation has earned out of the fires of this war. A greater world will come. Remember, this brute force is never the final victor. You will see that in this war, God's virtue will emerge triumphant. What is the spiritual approach to the present world situation? The present world crisis is due to the upward climb of Dwapara Yuga. In order for the world to become better, evil must be expunged. The forces of evil will cause their own destruction, thus assuring survival of the righteous nation. The conflict between good and evil has been going on since the dawn of history, but as the world is moving upward through the Dwapara Yuga, the elect- electrical or atomic age, there is greater potential not only for good but also for destruction through the misuse of technology by those who are greedy and desire power in keeping with the influence of the Vapra Yuga. Technology is rapidly moving the general populace of higher levels of achievement. But this progress also creates a greater gap between the achievers and non-achievers. This foments jealousies and social economic and political troubles. I believe in the brotherhood of man created by mutual love and understanding and cooperation. All worthwhile goals and ennobling ideals should be introduced to the world by spiritual examples and good methods, not by brute force and war. Political power without spiritual principle is dangerous. By spiritual principles, I do not refer to doctrines of specific religions, which may also be divisive, but to dharma or universal principle of righteousness applicable to the well-being of all humanity. To prevent the spread of evil, sometimes righteous war is even necessary. You cannot preach non-violence and cooperation to wild tiger, for he will destroy you even before you can expound your philosophy. Some human perpetrators of evil are similar, unresponsive to reason. Any wagers of aggressive war, as was Hitler, will lose. Those who are compelled to fight a righteous war against evil will win. Whether or not a war is righteous is judged by God. I make one prediction now. The world is not going down to destruction, so don't be frightened. Believe in your Father. He will protect you if you remember His ideals, if you keep faith in Him. We are moving upward. The 1200 years of the material cycle have passed, and 300 of the 2400 years of the atomic age are gone. Then there will be the mental and the spiritual ages. You are not going down. No matter what happens, the spirit will win. I predict this. Anybody who uses the bomb motivated by aggression will fall by the bomb. But I know that in the hearts of America and India there is no love of violence. As Hitler with all his power fell, so any dictator wherever he is shall be downed. This I predict. My brothers and sisters of the world, please remember that God is our Father and He is one. We are all His children, and as such, we should adopt constructive means to help each other become physically, mentally, financially, and spiritually ideal citizen of the United States of the world. Whenever soul will rise above petty divisions into spiritual understanding, world misery will be consumed in the fire of the realization of the universality of God and brotherhood of man. Such media as radio and television and have air travel have brought us all together as never before. We must learn that it can no longer be Asia for Asiatics, Europe for Europeans, America for Americans, and so on, but a united states of the world under God, in which each human being can be an ideal citizen of the global with every opportunity for fulfillment in body, mind, and soul. Seek the eternal love of God behind earth's transient shadows. No man, no prophet will ever be able to away all the inequalities and divisions on this earth. But when you will find yourself in the consciousness of God, these differences will vanish and you will say, "Oh, this is sweet and death, a dream. When thy song flows through me, then joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. When the song flows through me, then health is sweet, sickness a dream. When the song flows through me, then praise is sweet and blame a dream. Why the song flows through me? This is the highest philosophy. Do not be afraid of anything. Even when tossing on a wave in a storm, you are still on the bosom of the ocean. Just lay yourself at God's feet. There is no time like the present to surrender yourself unto Him. Use all the strength of your soul to find God. The smoke screen of delusions has come between us and Him, and He is sorry that we have lost sight of Him. He is not happy seeing His children suffer so much, dying from falling bombs, terrible diseases, and wrong habits by of living. He regrets it. He For he loves us and wants us back. If only you would make the efforts at night to meditate and be with him. He thinks of you so much you are not forsaken. It is you who have no you have forsaken yourself. God is never indifferent to you. The sole purpose of creation is to compel you to solve its mystery and perceive God behind all. He wants you to forget everything else and to seek Him alone. Once you have found refuge in the Lord, there is no consciousness of life and death as realities. You will then see all dualities like dreams during sleep, come and going in the eternal existence of God. Forget not this sermon, a sermon He is expressed to you through my voice. Forget not, He is saying, I am just as helpless as you, for I, as you, your soul, am tied in the body with you. Unless you redeem yourself, I am caged with you daily, no more growling in the mud of suffering and ignorance. Come bathe in my light. The Lord wants us to escape this delusive world. He cries for us, for He knows how hard it is for us to gain His deliverance. But you have only to remember that you were His child Don't pity yourself. You are loved just as much by God as are Krishna and Jesus. You must seek his love for it is encompasses eternal freedom, endless joy and immortality. Be, be not afraid of the frightening dream of this world. Awaken in God's immortal light. There was a time when life to me was like helplessly watching a terrifying movie, and I was giving too much importance to the tragedies being enacted therein. Then one day, while I was meditating, a great light appeared in my room, and God's voice said to me, "What are you dreaming about? Behold my eternal light, in which the many nightmares of the world come and go. They are not real." What a tremendous consolation it was. Nightmares, however dreaded, are merely nightmares. Whether enjoyable or disturbing, are merely movies. We ought not to keep our minds so absorbed in the sad and frightening dramas of this life. Is it not wiser to place our attention on that power which is indestructible and unchanging? Why worry about the unpleasant surprises in the plot of this world movie? We are here for just a little while. Learn the lesson of the drama of life and find your freedom. Just beneath the shadow of this life is God's wondrous light. The universe is a vast temple of His presence. When you meditate, you will find doors opening to Him everywhere. When you have communion with Him, not all the ravages of the world can take away that joy and peace affirmation in life and death, in diseases, famine, pestilence, or poverty. May I have clung to the help me to realize I am immortal self, untouched by the change of childhood, your age, and world happiness. Utilizing the power of prayer. In the past, you may have been disappointed that your prayers were not answered. But do not lose faith. God is not a mute, unfeeling being. He is love itself. If you know how to meditate to make contact with Him, He will respond to your loving demands. The first rule in prayer is to approach God only with the legitimate desires. The second is to pray for their fulfillment. Not as a beggar, but as a son. I am the child. Thou art my father. Thou and I are one. When you pray deeply and continuously, you will feel a great joy well, welling up in your heart. Don't be satisfied until that joy manifests. For when you feel that all satisfying joy in your heart, you will know that God has tuned in your prayer broadcast. Then pray to your Father, "Lord, this is my need. I am willing to work for it. Please guide me and help me to have the right thoughts and to do the right thing to bring about success. I will use my reason and work with determination, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right thing that I should do." You should pray to God intimately as His child, which you are. God does not object when you pray from your ego as a stranger and a beggar, but you will find that your efforts are limited by that consciousness. God does not want you to give up your own willpower, which is your divine birthright as His child. To know exactly how and when to pray according to the nature of our needs is that bring the desired results. When the right method is applied, it sets in motion the proper laws of God. The operation of these laws scientifically bears results. Prayer often implies the consciousness of beggary. We are children of God, not beggars, and are thus entitled to our divine inheritance when we have established a connection of love between our souls and God. We have a right to loving demand the fulfillment of our legitimate prayers. An unceasing demand for anything mentally widespread with unflagging zeal and unflinching courage and faith develops into a dynamic power that so influences the entire behavior of the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious power of man that the desired object is gained. The inner performance of the mental whispers and must be unceasing, undaunted by reverses. Then the desired for object will materialize. So, and moreover, this prayer must be not for the your own individuality, but prayers must be for all because God is happy once you are asking anything on behalf of everybody. So God will be pleased that you are asking favor from God for all. So the prayers must be done in a very scientific way. A prayer that is strong and deep will definitely receive God's answer. By the application of science in religion, your uncertain belief in spiritual possibilities can become realization of their highest fulfillment. God is the love that upholds the universe, the ocean of life and power that pervades all creation. Through scientific methods of prayer, we can attune ourselves to that infinite power and bring healing to body, mind, and spirit. Some people regard prayer as a vague and ineffective exercise in wishful thinking. The ordinary person resorts to prayer only when in dire trouble and when all other options have failed. But Paramhansa Yogananda taught that true prayer is scientific, being based on precise laws that govern all creation and is daily necessity for harmonious living. He explained that our physical bodies and the material world we live in are condensations of invisible patterns of energy. That energy, in turn, is an expression of finer blueprints of thought, the subtlest vibration which governs all manifestations of energy and matter. The whole of creation was brought into being by God, first in thought or idea form, then the divine consciousness willed those thought patterns to condense into light and energy, and finally into the grosser vibrations of the matter. As human beings made in the image of God, we are different from the lower forms of creation. We have the freedom to use these same powers of thought and energy. By the thoughts we habitually entertain and act upon, we create the circumstances in which our life upholds. Scientific prayer is based on understanding of this truth and on application of the universal forces of creation. It tunes in with God's thought patterns of health, harmony, and perfection, and then uses will power to channel energy to help materialize those patterns. Prayer is the science by which we can attune the human mind and will to the consciousness and will of God. Though Through prayer, we form a loving personal relationship with God, and His response is unfailing. We read in Paramhansa Yogananda's autobiography, the Lord responds to all and works for all. Seldom do men realize how often God hears their prayers. He is not partial to a few, but listens to anyone who approaches Him trustfully. His children should ever have implicit faith in the loving kindness of their omnipresent Father. By patient and persever- persevering application of God's unlimited power, we can, with His love and help, and create whatever circumstances we desire and dissolve difficulties and diseases, not only for ourselves but for others. That is the most important point. This, you know, we must pray, pray for all. So, what are the important factors which make the prayer effective? In the Yogada Satsang lessons, Paramhansa Yogananda has given step-by-step instructions for realizing God's indwelling presence through scientific method of concentration and meditation. And it was his great desire to see those who were practicing such methods serve others from their own expanding awareness of the divine presence in all, from actual realization of the world as one family. The effectiveness of the worldwide prayer circles depend not only on the wholehearted participation of as many sympathetic souls as possible, but also on the depth of communion attained by the individual members of the prayer circle. For prayer to bring God's response, it is essential to know how to pray. Here are some key points to be remembered for effective prayer. Successful prayer depends to a great extent on the ability to concentrate, the ability to free the mind from distractions, and to place it one pointedly on whatever we wish. As the scattered rays of the sun may be converged through use of a magnifying glass to create intense burning power, so the subtle yet powerful energy latent in thoughts, feelings, and spoke words may be gathered into all powerful prayer through a definite method of concentration. Vast reservoirs of mental power may be tapped through concentration, power that can be used in any untoward endeavor or inwardly to gain experience of our immutable kinship with God. Importance of meditation for effective prayer. Meditation is concentration used to know God. From Hansa Yogananda taught that before praying it is good to meditate to gain awareness that we are made in the image of God. Concentration and meditation techniques such as those taught in the Yoga Satsanga Society lessons interiorize the mind, revealing the divine spirit within. Concentration on that inner only presence lead to the direct perception of our true self or soul, even one with God. God does not wish us to pray like beggars. Paramahansaji said, wheedling him to give us what we want like any other loving father. He delights in fulfilling our worthy wishes. Therefore, first establish your identity with him through meditation. Then you must ask what you need of your father with a child's loving expectation, knowing that your request will be granted. Willpower is the power of will. The willpower is an essential element in prayer. Continuous, calm, powerful use of the will seeks the forces of creation and bring a response from the infinite. Paramahansaji said, when you persist refusing to accept failure, the object of will must materialize. When you continuously work that will through your thoughts and activities, what you are wishing for has to come about, even though there is nothing in the world to conform to your wish. When your will persists, the desired result will somehow manifest. In that kind of will lies God's answer, because will comes from God and continuous will is divine will. In prayer, it is necessary to distinguish between a passive attitude that God will do everything and the other extreme of relying on our own efforts. A balance should be struck between the medieval idea of wholly depending on God and the modern way of sole reliance on the ego. Hansa Yogananda explained, when Jesus prayed, Thy will be done, before undergoing the trial of crucifixion. He was not denying his own will. It took complete mastery of will to surrender to God's divine will for his life. Few people have developed their will to that extent, but God eh, expects us as His children to exercise His gifts of reason, will, and feeling to the best of our ability in our every endeavor, while utilizing all means at our disposal to achieve success. We should simultaneously seek guidance from the divine presence within. This balanced attitude leads to poise, understanding, harmonization of our human and divine faculties, and attunement of our human will with the will of God. Devotion, love for God. Prayer imbued with devotion is the most effective prayer of devotion. Love for God is the magnetic attraction of the heart that God cannot resist. Paramhansa Yogananda said, search, the searcher of hearts wants only your sincere love. He is like a little child. Someone may offer him his whole wealth and he doesn't want it. And another cries to him, Oh Lord, I love you. And into that devotee's heart he comes running. Knowing all things before we ask, God is more interested in our love than in loving winded prayers. John Bunyan said, In prayer it is better to have a heart without words than words without a heart. Mechanical prayer, devoid of attention and feeling, is like absent-mindedly offering wilted flowers to the Lord, an offering not likely to get much response. But if we call again and again to God with devotion, concentration, and willpower, we will come to know beyond a doubt that our prayers are heard and answered by the divine one whose power and loving concern for us is absolutely. Another very important point, learn the effective way to pray for others. That is the most important point, because God will thought is a force. It has immense power. That's why I believe so deeply in the worldwide prayer circle that Paramhansa Yogananda began. I hope you are all involved in it. When people send forth concentrated positive thoughts of peace, love, goodwill, forgiveness, as in the healing technique used by worldwide prayer circle, this generates a great power. If the masses were to do this, it would set up a vibration of goodness that would be powerful enough to change the world. How can our prayers influence the lives of others? In the same way that they elevate our own, by implanting in the consciousness positive patterns of health, success, and receptivity to divine help. Paramhansa Yogananda wrote, the human mind, freed from the disturbances or static of restlessness, is empowered to perform all the functions of complication radio mechanisms, sending as well as receiving thoughts and tuning out undesirable ones. As the power of a radio broadcasting station is regulated by the amount of electrical current it can utilize. So the effectiveness of human radio depends on the degree of willpower possessed by each person. The minds of illumined masters who have perfectly attuned their will with God's will can transmit the divine power to bring instantaneous healing of body, mind, and spirit. The writing and the lectures of Param Hansa Yogananda abound with examples of such healings. He explained that though they seem miraculous, divine healings are the natural result of scientifically fulfilling the universal laws of creation by conveying God's ideas pattern of perfection with sufficient willpower and energy to manifest them in the minds and bodies of others. These enlightened ones follow the same process by which everything in the universe was formed. Any person who prays according to these principles will find that his or her prayers also have a tangible influence. And though our individual power is obviously less than that which a master can convey, when the prayers of thousands are united, the powerful vibrations of peace and divine healing thus generated are of inestimable value in helping to manifest the desired results. To this end, Paramhansa Yogananda originated the Yoga the Satsang Society of India, Self-Realization Fellowship Prayer Council, and the Worldwide Prayer Circle. Here is one of the Paramhansa's technique to pray effectively for others. First, First, wrinkle your eyebrows together a little, then close your eyes. Think of any person to whom you want to send the healing power. Concentrate, uh, concentrate at the point of between your eyebrows and mentally say, Heavenly Father, I will with thy will. My will is thy will. With thine omnipresent will, O Father, I will with all my heart, with all my soul, that this person be healed. While saying this, think that a current is going through the point between your eyebrows into the point between the eyebrows of the person you are trying to help. Feel that you are sending a current from your spiritual eye into the spiritual eye of the person you wish to be healed. Concentrate deeper and deeper. You will feel that at the point of between the eyebrows, feeling this heat is proof that your will power is developing. Concentrate still deeper mentally. Say, with thy will I send a flash of cosmic energy, Father. It is there. This should be practiced from 15 to 20 minutes. While you are doing this, your willpower develops, and this developed willpower will be with you continuously, no matter what happens, to aid yourself and others when needed. Sometimes people ask what is the best way to pray for others. Sri Daya Mata has said, to pray for others is right and good, asking above all that they must be receptive to God and thus receive physical, mental, and spiritual help direct from the divine physician. This is the basis of all prayer. God's blessing is ever present. Receptivity is often lacking, prayer heightened receptivity. When you are affirming healing for others or yourself, visualize the tremendous force of God's healing power as a white light surrounding you or the person for whom you are praying. Feel that it is melting away all illness and imperfection. Every uplifting thought we think, every prayer we utter, every good action we perform is impregnated with God's power. We can manifest this power in greater and greater ways as our faith becomes stronger and our love for God becomes deeper.